What's going on, homies? Welcome to the Correct Soccer Podcast, episode number 7. We are just two today. Fern's joining me today. Fern, say what's good to the people.
What's going on, guys? Joining the Correct Podcast today, away from home, doing some work stuff, so I'm just chilling in a hotel today.
Yeah, we got things we do other than this, right? We're not just influencers.
Yeah.
We got some real jobs up in here. Our boy Chino is AFK today, and maybe for a little while. Got some stuff going on, but we'll wish him the best. Obviously, he's always welcome back. When he does come back, we'll get right back into it with him. But this is Angel, El Capitan, Reyes, obviously. But we do have the 3 armbands here, okay? So don't take it personally there, Fern. We'll get going here, everybody. Lots of stuff happened over this week, as it usually always does. More coaches being fired, teams being up for sale, Messi's bodyguard no longer being allowed, and MLS games, more soccer teams being built, one in Idaho, kind of crazy. The FIFA Club World Cup, obviously kind of heating up there. So just lots and lots of headlines going on right now within the soccer world. So we're pumped. We're pumped for this episode, pumped to get into it. But before we do, as always, as we always do, we gotta show the leaderboard. And I believe there was some changes this week. I gotta say, there was a little bit of a change. Still in the lead, our boy Chino Angel Lopez with 36 correct picks. The guy is on fire. But if you have noticed, in second place, your boy Angel Reyes in second place. Fernie jumping in the bottom spot. Fernie, what the heck is going on, my guy?
I made some bad decisions this past week. There was one game, I can't remember, and I don't have the stuff on me. I'm getting some of my stuff ready right here on my tablet, but there was one game, I can't remember what it was, that you guys both picked it, and then I saw after, and I'm like, why? What was I thinking? I'll remember what it was, but after I saw that, I'm just like, I feel like I was trying too hard to get those picks that, hit you out of nowhere, but that's fine. It happens.
There was a few of those. Obviously, I mean, the fact that Charlotte lost was pretty insane. And a couple other games really just kind of got, there was a few where we all missed, but definitely quite a few ties this last week. So obviously that kind of doesn't really help anybody there. Obviously, Lopez still up in the top, man. The guy is just doing a pretty good job. I will say, I do think he only had 6 or so correct picks this last week. So technically, he had the least correct picks of the week. I'm pretty sure he had 6. I think you had 7, and I believe I had 8. So slowly catching up to you guys. I feel like I'm starting to kind of understand more and more of who needs to be in, what teams, play better where, whether at home or away. So, slowly getting into it, but still very, very tight race. 36, 35, 34. I mean, 1 point apiece for each. So we'll keep it rolling. We'll keep it going there. Obviously, that leaderboard will definitely change throughout the rest of the season. So super pumped, though. I'm pumped to be ahead of you, though.
Yeah.
I don't like to be in last.
I know. Like I said a few weeks ago, there's only 3 of us, but you don't want to be the one in last, so.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's okay. I'll make it up this week.
There you go. Nice. Well, yeah, we'll keep that posted. We'll keep that going on the Instagram. So please give us a follow on there. We will be getting TikTok up and rolling. So go ahead and give that a subscribe, follow, everything like that. Share it with your buddies and give us some views there. Right into the next segment, the cracked performances of the week. If you want, I can go first there, Fern. I think there's one game that we all probably looked at that said, hey, this was a hell of a game, which was my correct game of the week. San Diego versus LAFC, man. This game, absolutely nuts. The game literally had everything. It had goals. It had saves. It had a lot of fans. It had fans fighting. It had a red card. And obviously we had a winner. So crazy game. I thought it was freaking intense. Just kind of watching it. I watched most of this game, so I thought it was really fun to watch. Got to give credit to all the players there that played. I will say there was a banger of a goal in this game that came from, I believe his name is pronounced Smolyakov. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Smolyakov, something like that.
Something.
I don't know how to pronounce it. Forgive me, but you had a banger of a goal, my guy. In the first goal, I believe it was for LAFC. It looked like it was going to be like some form of a cross, center, pass, and all of a sudden
Top
this thing
left.
goes
Yeah.
over the goalie, dude. It was nuts. So hats off to that guy. Obviously a banger of a goal, man. But the crazy thing about this whole thing that I think we didn't really catch was that Chucky Lozano was in this game. I believe we didn't think he was going to be in there, right?
Yeah, I believe he was supposed to be out for until like mid-April is what this was saying. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that's what I remember seeing too. And I couldn't believe it, man. When I saw him on there, I was like, dude, I would have changed it had I
yeah,
seen that he was on the lineup. I even was tempted to text you guys when I saw him coming like in the lineup. I was gonna text you guys and be like, hey, I changed my pick,
no
but
changes,
I know we can't do
commitments.
that. You got to go full in. So, it is what it is, man. Awesome game, though. And then for anybody watching, if you guys haven't watched kind of that fight that happened at the end of this game, I think, and this is early to say, so it could be totally just, it won't happen or it's totally out of left field here, but San Diego fans might be, or maybe it's LAFC fans, might be one of the Philadelphia Eagle fans of soccer. What the hell's going on, man? Did you catch that?
Yeah, I saw the fighting. It was pretty crazy, honestly. It gets intense, man, especially when you're in-state rivals and you come in expecting to be the ones dominating the team, and then the underdogs come in and take you out in that way. And then, there's probably some talking going on after the game that caused the fighting, but it was a pretty crazy fight. There was cops there. There's like a
Yeah.
security guard. Somehow, I don't know what happened to him. He couldn't get back up. I was like, what's going on? It
Dude,
was
I know. I
crazy
saw that.
scenes.
I saw he fell and like I don't know what the heck happened to this guy because it looked like he just kind of tripped and he like couldn't stand back up. I was like, what happened to this guy's ankle? Like it didn't look like anything crazy.
He's trying to get that
Non-contact
payday.
injury. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, dude. So crazy, obviously crazy game at the end of the day, like not just performance wise, but at the end of it. So that Southern California rivalry, man, is going to be intense with LAFC and San Diego. Can't say the same thing about LA Galaxy, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Anyways, going into my cracked player of the week. I'm going to have to give it up to Luciano Acosta, plays for FC Dallas. You probably know the name, but he did score against Sporting Kansas City. Probably got the coach fired. Just saying, maybe. But he did score. But the thing that probably a lot of people don't know is that he only becomes the 7th player in MLS history to have 75 goals and 75 assists in his MLS career. So, dude, cracking one open for you. Solid. Obviously, just keep up the good work there, Luciano Costa. I think he's a great player. Honestly, I think he's the reason that FC Dallas is a little bit better than what they look like on paper and kind of what their record shows. So, obviously he keeps showing up. This team's going to keep being good. So, hats off to you, man. Way to be my crack player of the week. Good one for you. If we are going to go into the pour one out, I think it's going to get a little bit old, but I'm going to just keep saying LA Galaxy. Y'all got to figure it out, man. I mean, I know Chino has his high hopes. He's saying April, but I don't know, man. I don't know.
They deserved to lose after that. I don't know what the goalie was doing.
Dude,
He just like jumped up and I don't know. He like tried to catch it. I don't know what he was doing, but yeah,
it's a
that was a
routine
horrible
save.
attempt. Yeah, it was a horrible
Routine
attempt at
save.
whatever that was. So
Yeah, routine save that should have been saved, but obviously nothing.
in the 90th minute as well. It's
Dude,
you can't even blame it
pretty
on like
crazy.
being I guess being nervous, but it's at the end of the game. You're warmed up. You're in the groove. I don't know how you do that, but I'm not a goalie. I won't. I'm not a
I,
professional soccer player, so I don't know, but I don't
yeah,
know.
maybe
I
it's
just
harder
seemed
than
like
we
he should
think.
be. Yeah. So
Solid. Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what happens with those guys. But that's kind of my performances. We'll go ahead and hand it off to you, Fern. Give it to us, lay it on us.
yeah. My cracked game of the week is actually Atlanta United versus New York City FC. It was a very exciting game. New York City FC was winning 3-1. Then it looks like starting from the 62nd minute, they got an own goal and it kind of just changed the tide of everything because then Almiron and then Latte Lath, which I didn't know, but he's actually the most expensive player in the
Hmm.
MLS. He was the most expensive signing in the MLS. He came in and he scored the game winner. He also had an assist. And yeah, that's just my game of the week. I think it was the
Yeah.
highest scoring game this week as well. So it
Yeah.
was a very entertaining game. So yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
gonna go with.
Did I agree
I
with
think
you? Pretty insane game.
were
The
they at
crazy thing,
home?
Yeah, they were in Atlanta.
Yeah, so it must have been going crazy in there.
Yeah, dude, absolutely insane. That little train horn that they got going whenever they score,
Yeah.
it's insane, dude. I couldn't believe it too. Yeah, 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 dude. That own goal really did just kind of shift the
Mhm.
tide, right? And then at the very end, I
Mhm.
don't know if you remember that very last goal, dude. The defender, the captain, if you will, basically like kind of shielding the ball off and waiting for the goalie to come get it, and then he didn't, and he was like pissed at the very end.
Yeah, it was freaking communication, man. If you want the goalie to come out, I feel like you, as a player, if you want the goalie to do something, you got to let him know, or let the goalie be the one to be like, I'm coming out for the ball, you get away. Don't be like, you goalie, come get it, because then if they don't react fast enough, then
Yeah,
something
I
like
think
that'll
in
happen.
there, as the defender, as the captain, you got to just. He should have been able to see the goalie too. So like, obviously he's not coming out. So you got to take it upon
Hmm.
yourself to get it cleared out.
Hmm.
I don't ever think it's the goalie's fault. Obviously, yes, he probably should have came out and got the ball. But dude, you're the one that's kind of on the ball right now. You're the defender. Get that shit out, dude. Just what the hell are you doing? No,
Yeah,
solid
definitely.
pick though.
Yeah, and then for my cracked player of the week, I don't know if anybody can kind of guess who I'm gonna go with, but I'm gonna have to go with the
Mm.
player that came in the 55th minute and 2 minutes later scored the game winner, which ended up being the game winner because they scored one. But it's Lionel Messi coming back from injury, I guess. He didn't play last week, so yeah, that's my player of the week. So yeah, I don't know. I just like I say every time he just comes in and makes not always an instant impact, but he always impacts the game. I don't think I've ever like there's not many Inter Miami games that you watch and he doesn't either get an assist that gets them like a game tying goal, game winning goal or something like that. So yeah, I was honestly pretty surprised to see him score that fast.
Yeah, no, that was pretty crazy. It's got to be, pretty reassuring when you got a player like that on your team, and for him to come in after 2 minutes and score a goal, that's pretty insane. Obviously, hats off to him, man. The guy is a hell of a player. Good for him. I think he only played 35 minutes in total, something like that, in the
Yeah,
30s.
yeah, yeah, because he came in on the 55th minute, so yeah, like 35 minutes.
Yeah.
So,
And I know we've talked about this before. We've kind of said it like, hey, is he injured? Is he more injured than we think? Like, who knows, right? At this point, obviously, he does have something going on. But I will say the way that they are managing this sort of injury is definitely the way it should be done. Like,
mhm.
he's getting some minutes in, he's going in, he's having an impact, but they're definitely prepared for him to go the distance, not just, compete in the MLS throughout the whole season, but also the CONCACAF Champions League. Like they know what they got to do to keep this guy healthy because he's going to be that factor that really kind of helps them potentially win it if they get to that point.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Because we'll see how it goes. I wonder if they didn't start him this game so he could start on Wednesday against LAFC. Because I would. I guess I can't even say that because Philadelphia has been one of the better teams this year too. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just so weird to me or not weird. It makes sense just because Inter Miami is one of the best teams in the league that you see them play these like big games, big teams, and they kind of just I don't want to. I don't want to like they make it seem like easy,
Yeah.
not easy, but it's like most of the. I'm confident that they're gonna win. I feel like they
Right.
should win most games. The only way they can beat themselves, or the only way they can lose, is if they beat themselves.
Yeah.
Most of the time, especially when you have Messi on your team.
Yeah.
But
For sure.
everybody plays really well. And they have some pretty good young players coming up, so we'll see. I really like Benjamin Kramaski. I feel like he's
Mm,
been playing really well, so we'll see how
for
it
sure.
goes. And I did
Can you
have a
pour
poor
one
one
out?
out. Yeah, I do have one. Unfortunately, the hometown team of Real Salt Lake just getting
Mm,
battered. I don't know what it is, man. Some games they look good. What was it last week? We had the excuse that Diego Luna wasn't there. They didn't
mm-hmm.
have their best player, so we're like, oh, Diego Luna's back, and they're gonna want to prove a point because they got clapped by Minnesota in the first round last year, and then they come and just get clapped again with Diego Luna.
I know
So
at this point it's like, can you even blame? Like, what is there to blame? I mean, yes, it was raining like the whole game. It was kind of an ugly, nasty mess. But at the end of the day, I mean, Minnesota put two away. I mean, it didn't
Mhm.
affect them obviously. So even if they had played in Utah, like it was also raining here. So either
Yeah.
way, you're gonna have to battle the elements there. So at this point, I don't know, man. You got to start using some of that GAM money and really
Yeah.
start to kind of understand what kind of players you need to bring in to change the trajectory of the team. So
Yeah, because
yeah,
they
that's a
some
pretty solid one.
I feel like every time I like watch them play, they have like a good players, and then for some reason I don't know, it's Utah. Most people don't want to play in Utah, well,
Hmm.
for whatever sport it is. But like Albert Rusnak has been playing super good for Seattle Sounders, and he played for Real Salt Lake
Hmm.
a few years ago, and I don't see why they get rid of like those type of
Yep.
players and kind of try and build around it because they have Diego Luna now, and he's definitely their best player. I feel like they should get more players that play with that same type of intensity and help him, and like have
Hmm.
somebody that can like score goals.
Yeah.
Last year they played really well, and then this year, they have 5 goals all season so far, and
Yeah. That's
four
tough.
of them are from open play and one own goal. And it's
Dang.
just that's not good enough. You need to be doing more. So I don't know what they need to do. Maybe we can get Griezmann. I'm gonna hit up Griezmann, see if he'll come play for
Hey,
us.
there you go. Sell Utah to him, man. Exactly.
Yeah.
I know that'd be kind of insane to see him. And I do believe Thomas Mueller was also kind of linked to
Hmm.
potentially coming out here. I mean, I think it might be hard for him to come out here too, but hopefully one can dream, right?
Yeah, we'll see. Because I did see that this morning actually. That basically Bayern confirmed that at the end of the season he's done playing for them,
Yeah.
and he's been playing with them since I believe it said 2000. So that's 25 years now. That's crazy.
Dang.
Entire
Yeah, that
life
is
there.
insane. Exactly. I mean, the biggest thing is they need a number 9, but either way, they
Hmm.
lost. They lost to to Minnesota.
Minnesota.
At the end of the day, we're probably not going to like them if we keep losing to them. So we got to figure it out, man. They got to figure something out. So pour one out for
Yeah.
them. Alrighty, but going into the next subject here, going into what we were a little bit discussing here with the Messi, with your correct player of the week with Messi. CONCACAF Champions League starts back up this week. Tomorrow, actually, we are recording this on Monday, March 31st. So tomorrow, is it tomorrow or is it Wednesday?
I believe
Now
the
I'm
first game is
confused.
on
Oh,
Wednesday.
tomorrow.
No, it is
No,
tomorrow. It
it
is
is. It
tomorrow.
is
Cruz
tomorrow.
Azul America and LA Galaxy Tigres tomorrow.
Yes, exactly. So, with the CONCACAF Champions League starting back up here, let me go ahead and share this so we can all see really quick. All right, yes. So, as we were saying, the CONCACAF Champions Cup starts back up tomorrow. Pretty good games, obviously, coming up here with this tournament. Obviously, a lot of really good Liga MX teams. We do have LA Galaxy going up against Tigres, which looks like a little bit of a tough matchup for LA Galaxy. But your Miami is playing on Wednesday against LAFC. Should be interesting. But kind of looking at this as a whole, I think we discussed this a couple weeks ago too. Some favorites here, probably going to be Grupo America and Inter Miami for the whole tournament, right? But obviously, with everything that's been going on, Miami's kind of heating up a little bit more now. LAFC maybe started off really hot, kind of coming back down. Vancouver, obviously looking very strong. America, very strong as always. But Galaxy going down the drain a little bit. Like, what are you kind of seeing with this tournament? How do you kind of see it being played out at the end of the day?
They're, these are all really good matchups, honestly. If the LA Galaxy can get their stuff together, then I can see Tigres and Galaxy being a really good game, and then Cruz Azul and America should be a really good game. I'd probably edge America in that game. And then honestly, I feel like aside from America, LAFC and Inter Miami would be my two favorites outside of that. I'm hoping that that matchup is really good, like we have a lot of goals, we have some fights maybe after the games, stuff like that.
Yeah, no joke.
But no, this is looking really good, honestly. So I I'm just excited. Honestly, I feel like probably not to be like rude or anything, but the least exciting game is probably the Whitecaps versus Pumas and stuff. At least for me,
Never
I'm
know.
not. Yeah, but We'll see. Inter Miami, I feel like they played pretty well without Messi anyways, because last year they broke the record for the most points in an MLS season, and Messi missed what, like 2 months or something like that
Yeah,
with his ankle after the what did they win? The Copa America? Is that what it was?
I don't
With
remember
Argentina?
actually.
I can't remember.
But
I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
you're right. Yeah,
Yeah. So he injured himself in the final and he missed
yeah,
quite some time with that, and they still managed to play good. Because at the end of the day, as much as I love Messi, Inter Miami probably don't need him as much as people might think because they play pretty well without him. But like I said, any team that Messi joins in, he'll make them better. And it
yeah,
definitely helps having a player on the field where you can see the difference of when he's playing and when he's not, because I feel like the players have a lot more freedom once Messi's there, because as soon as he touches the ball, everybody kind of just starts crowding around
yeah,
him and it leaves so many players open. And I feel like that's also kind of an advantage of having a player like that on your team where you can distract so many defenders.
yeah. Absolutely. He can
I
drag
don't
some
know
of the.
how I don't know how we were talking about the Champions Cup and I ended up glazing Messi. I'm sorry, guys.
Hey, you never do it before. You've never done it before, right? No, but for sure. I mean, it's a good analysis. It's good to kind of look at things that way. Obviously, he's a very big player, right? I
Mhm.
think these matchups are very interesting. I think they're going to be a lot of fun to watch. The thing that I kind of am interested about here too is not just these games coming up tomorrow and Wednesday, but obviously the week after you're going to have this being basically wrapped up, and kind of going into the semifinals. But if you're looking at this, obviously Galaxy is going to have to beat Tigres in Mexico, right? So no matter what they
Mhm.
do in LA, it's going to have to come back to Tigres, and you're going to have to beat them at their home. The same thing with Club America. Looks like Club America is going to be at home for the second game. Inter Miami will be home for LAFC. So LAFC
Mhm.
is going to have to come out really strong for that first game, and then Vancouver, right? They're going to have to beat Pumas in Mexico. So these
So,
second legs are probably going to be the
so.
craziest parts about it. So I mean, it's going to be hard to call, man. Even after these first weeks, I mean, we can obviously say America, Tigres, Vancouver, Miami probably will take these matchups, right? But who knows, right?
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe Pumas pulls one out against Vancouver. Maybe Cruz Azul somehow beats Club America. It's hard to see, but you never know. And then I mean,
Yeah.
LAFC, they showed this week that even if they're down, even if they're losing, like they're gonna fight. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you never really know what's gonna go down. I'm interested to see the second games after this week, but this first week for sure going to be fun to watch some of these CONCACAF Champions Cup games.
Yeah, we'll see. Because I was just looking at the injury report because I knew Royce was injured, and I wanted to see because it was he was saying last time I checked he was supposed to come back in April, and now it's saying
Mm,
early May. So it seems like there may have been some sort of setback for him. So we'll see how it goes. Honestly,
yeah.
the game before this when they played Club Sport when they
Oh
beat
yeah.
them 4-1, they didn't even have Royce in that lineup, and they beat them 4-1.
Mm,
And I feel like if they're a good team, even without their best players, I just feel like if they, I don't know what's wrong with them right now. If they're just, honestly, those losses right now are definitely hitting their confidence. So they just need to get
yeah.
something like going, and hopefully they can get it going once they can get like Royce and Puge back and
Yeah.
everything, and just start rolling again. So we'll see how it goes, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the morale's definitely going to be down for their LA Galaxy. I mean, really, all they really need is just to get a win, maybe, and then just kind of build their spirits up a little bit. But it will be tough if they can't get one and they just kind of continue to lose. Like that'll be pretty tough to come back from. But if they can hold out and some of those guys start coming back, maybe Chino has a point. Maybe they do kind of start coming back and turning into that LA Galaxy team that everybody knows. So, but even that whole side, that whole Western Conference, we can look at this a little bit later when we do our picks. That whole Western Conference, I feel like most of the teams that are on the top are in the bottom of the league. It's almost the table has almost flipped to where a lot of the bottom teams from the Western Conference are at the top right now, and the teams that are normally at the top are at the bottom. So going to be crazy to see how, the end of the season kind of turns up. So we'll see. But a pretty solid, bits of soccer that are going to be going on, obviously coming up here in a little bit. On a little bit of that note too, just kind of going off of, LAFC obviously playing Miami. For those of you that also follow a little bit more of the international soccer, the Club World Cup, the FIFA Club World Cup, they're potentially going to be adding another MLS team to the tournament. Now, for those of you that don't know, it's basically like a big World Cup of clubs, right? It's a big tournament. The best of the best teams kind of get selected, even though Miami somehow got selected because, Messi's on there. I mean, I didn't make that decision, right? Needless
They won
to
the
say,
supporter shield.
yeah, I guess that's, equally as important as everything else. But the big thing there too is obviously, is a big prize money pool. I believe, I could be wrong, $1 billion that could be distributed across the top teams that win.
I'm pretty
sure.
I think it said so. Whoever wins the entire thing gets $125 million. Is I believe what I saw.
Right. I mean, I'm not saying the winner gets $1 billion, but what I'm saying is throughout the whole thing, like everybody that gets something, it's like $1 billion, which is crazy to think about.
FIFA plus a share of 1 billion in total prize money, depending on results in the group stage and knockout rounds. The winner of the tournament is expected to earn up to 125 million, which is a crazy amount, bro. If Inter Miami win the whole thing, they can buy Mbappe.
There you go, man. That's might as well, right?
Or Holland. Holland probably wants to leave Man City.
Yeah, you never know, man. At the end of the day, you never know what you can do with that kind of cash. But obviously, one of the things too to kind of look into this, the reason they have that potential. Did you hear about the whole thing with Leon and how they kind of got kicked out of the whole situation?
Yeah, I was kind of confused because I didn't know that Leon was also owned by the person that owns Pachuca. And I guess there was some weird, I guess there's a rule about having two clubs, that are owned by the same person, which I don't know how, how they decided what clubs get in, but I'm pretty sure it's FIFA the ones that decide, or it's not necessarily like the owner was like, oh, I'm gonna have both my teams go in. They just both happen to meet the requirements to get put in. I mean, it kind of sucks for Leon and the players, but I don't think, I feel like that's more on FIFA, and then it kind of sucks to
100%.
take it out on them by just kicking them out of the tournament. Like, okay, so what if we're owned by the same people? It kind of, if we were both good enough to get in, we should be able to play. But I do kind of get it because they don't want like match fixing or whatever. But I mean, they're both rivals in the Liga MX. They're not going to want to let one other team win over the other.
Right. Yeah, no, exactly. I think it's a pretty crazy situation. Obviously, like you said, Leon is owned by Grupo Pachuca, which obviously owns Pachuca, the team. So obviously that's kind of the situation there. I think, like you said, I mean, if you have two teams that were in, like, good for you. I can kind of understand in a sense of like, hey, we don't want, could you imagine if it was Leon and Pachuca going up together for the final? Like, talk about one of the worst finals to watch, probably because they don't really care who's going to win because, they're going to win the money either way. So maybe that's kind of what they were thinking. But at the end of the day, like, you are playing, Real Madrid, you're playing some of these like immensely big and very popular clubs that
Inter Miami.
I'm not saying that. Yeah, exactly. I'm not saying they can't beat those teams, but it would probably be very difficult for them both to get to the final, given the talent that's in this tournament. But basically, like, this is coming from FIFA, right? It's kind of a statements that they made in the potential LAFC America game. They did say, LAFC would participate as runner-up to Club Leon in the 2023 CONCACAF Champions League, through which Club Leon had qualified. And it says, FIFA statement on Sunday said Club America would participate as the top-ranked team in the FIFA Club World Cup Confederation ranking, through which qualification is also determined. The winner of the playoff would qualify unless legal proceedings rule otherwise. So, they're kind of giving both of those teams that opportunity, just given just kind of what they've been doing. AFC declined, to comment. America, I believe they issued some sort of a statement, regarding a possible match between America and another team. So America has not been formally notified by FIFA or any other sports authority regarding a possible participation in the Club World Cup. So this could all just be hearsay.
Yeah.
But if these two teams do play, like let's just say it does happen, I don't know who would win. I mean, do you think one of them would probably take this as serious as they would like the CONCACAF Champions Cup or just the regular season in general? Like, or do you think like, yeah, they would totally go all in on this just because it's another trophy they could potentially win?
Honestly, I think that's possibly why FIFA is having such a big prize pool, is just to kind of get these these smaller teams to kind of try more. Because I'm kind of looking at like the groups right now, and Seattle Sounders kind of drew the short straw here because they have Atletico Madrid and PSG in their group, and only two people make it out of the group, and I don't see that happening, honestly. But yeah, you want to make it far, try and get as much money as you possibly can. I don't know. I don't know how that would work in terms of like with the MLS having their GAM and kind of rules
Mm-hmm.
like that. Like so, like just for whatever crazy reason, let's say not we won't say Inter Miami this time, but we'll say, is Seattle Sounders the only other MLS team in there? They are, I believe. So let's say
Yeah.
for some crazy reason Seattle Sounder ends up winning the entire thing. Do then they have like what like I guess they wouldn't use the whole $125 million to purchase players or whatever it is, but like how much of that
Yeah.
money are would the MLS allow them to spend on players and stuff like that? So that's kind
Yeah.
of would be interesting to me to be like to give them
What is it used for?
more, yeah, what is it used for, and kind of give them more of a reason to want to play hard and do this.
Yeah.
And look, I can't find when the first matches are. So it's June 14th is the first match, and then the knockouts
Okay.
start June 28th.
Yeah. It is interesting. They are going to be playing in the U.S. too. So who knows? You
Mhm.
never know if a U.S. based team is a little more comfortable here, but
Yeah,
that is
and I do
interesting
know
to look at.
most of the times the European teams do bring their A game. They don't just bring their like secondary players. They bring in like their top players to come win the competition for them because of that extra money. So we'll see how it goes.
For sure. Money definitely talks in this one. Money's definitely going to be a big thing
Mhm.
for all of these teams. I'm looking at, a lot of the teams that are kind of coming in. And I mean, these are some pretty big brand names, big brand teams too that are going to be coming and playing over here. So who knows? At the end of the day, FIFA could just win just in general, just because of all the tickets they could possibly sell to these games. I know I would probably be pretty interested in seeing some of these games. Yeah,
Do
I
you know
mean,
where they're
pretty
playing
solid
by
match
chance?
thing to do.
Like, are they just oh
It's
so my
probably a mix of. Oh, here it
stadiums?
is. It says venues. Yeah, I can check it
So
out.
the
It says
first game is at the
venues.
Hard Rock Stadium. Is what I'm seeing.
Okay. Yeah. So from right here, it says they're playing in Mercedes Benz, Bank of America, which is North Carolina, TQL, which is in Cincinnati, the Rose Bowl Stadium, so California, Hard Rock, like you said,
Hmm.
Geodis, which is in Nashville. So a lot of big, the biggest one, obviously MetLife Stadium. They're going to be playing there as well. So a lot of the good, big stadiums. Obviously, they're going to be in, a lot of these major cities.
Hmm.
The smallest one probably is going to be the one in Orlando that only fits 25,000, which is pretty insane. But yeah, they're playing in all the big ones, Lumen, Audi Field. Like, yeah, they're playing in the ones you would expect them to.
Yeah,
To
the
be
finals in
honest.
the MetLife Stadium, kind of previewing the
Yeah,
actual World Cup. So
yeah.
see how
I
that
think that's
goes.
one of the. It's probably a pretty good call on that one. I mean, obviously you can debate MetLife and Mercedes to be in for the
Hmm.
final, but both are two huge stadiums. So like you said, for them to kind of preview this as like the FIFA World Cup final, like that'll be pretty
Hmm.
sweet to just kind of see how that goes. So I'm
Yeah.
curious for tickets too. I don't know how much those would be, man. We got to look into those.
What is it? In
That'd be kind of
three
sick.
months? 3 months? They should be out already. I'm pretty sure we can figure it out, but I can't. We'll
Yeah,
see
we'll
how
look
it
into
is.
those. Yeah,
I'm
we'll look into
I'd be
those. Maybe we
interested in
do a
going
little
into an
vlog.
Inter Miami game.
There you go. There you go. Obviously, we'll have to keep tabs on those for sure. So,
Hmm.
yeah, that's a pretty solid. Those two, CAF and then this FIFA Club World Cup, two very big things coming up. So a lot of soccer to be played. Obviously, a couple other headlines that are kind of fun, a little more fun that I think will be kind of interesting to talk about. Did you? And I'm sure you saw this. Messi's bodyguard has basically been told, "Yo, you can no longer be at games. The guy must be too buff, or maybe the beef with Logan Paul is kind of getting to MLS. Like, I don't understand what's going on. What are your thoughts, dude? It says right here, this is a Marca story, basically saying Messi's fiercest protector crumbles after being banned from the MLS. Lionel Messi found one of the greatest allies, known for safeguarding, the Inter Miami. Basically, the man on Messi's bodyguard in statements of House of Highlights, he addresses them. He said basically, hey, I've worked in Europe for 7 years, League One, Champions League. He said only 6 people invaded the pitch when he was working there. He said, I came to the United States, and in 20 months of work, 16 people have gotten through. He said, there's a huge problem here. I'm not the problem. Let me help Messi. I had no idea so many people have been invading the pitch. Maybe you have. But what do you think, man? I mean, big time bodyguard being kind of banned and MLS saying we'll take over. Like, what do you think that's all about, dude?
I mean, I'm gonna add to that number whenever I go to Inter Miami games. Just know you're gonna see me one of these days on Twitter or something like that. See me running after Messi. I mean, I don't. Ever since he had like that bodyguard, I did think it was like a bit weird. I'm like, I feel like it's a bit uh excessive because I guess they have security and stuff there. But I mean, it makes sense because you have somebody for sure, like when he's like walking out of like this stuff and doing all that and whatnot, to be able to be there, and he knows for sure that he doesn't have to worry about like somebody trying to like come up behind him and like trying to
Mm-hmm.
hug him, or a kid trying to ask for an autograph or anything like that. But I also feel like maybe one of the reasons that there is such a like there's more of a recurring theme of pitch invaders here in the US versus Europe is a lot of people here aren't used to seeing players in the caliber that Messi is, and a lot of the stadiums here are also way smaller than the European fields, where like the pitches are like super close and stuff like that, or they don't have like kind of like fencing or something to be able to stop the players, or not the players,
Yeah.
sorry, the people to be able to run in.
The invaders. Yeah.
Yeah, the invaders. So I feel like that kind of maybe contributes to it, because just going to America
Yeah.
First Field out here in Utah, I'm like, yeah, I could do that. That's super easy, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's not
Wouldn't be
worth
that
the
hard.
punishment. It's not worth the punishment, but like it doesn't seem very hard to be able to do it. So I've never
Yeah.
been to a stadium out in Europe, so I couldn't tell you,
Yeah,
what
but you can obviously
the,
see
yeah.
when you watch some of those games, you see what
Yeah.
like 100
Yeah,
guys
yeah,
around
yeah,
the
they're just
field,
all around.
right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And yeah, like I said, I feel like most of the stuff you see is usually because of Messi and whatnot. And
Mm-hmm.
like I said, some people just aren't used to being able to see players of that caliber out here. And they're like, this is my one chance. I spent $500 on this ticket. I may never come see him again.
I'm gonna go
I'm gonna
touch him.
risk it. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. I mean, you would totally do that, dude. It's a good point
Yeah.
for sure. Obviously, people probably have never seen players like him before, and so they want to go, get the autograph, get the picture, do the whole pitch invader thing. But I do
Hmm.
think what I'm gonna kind of take from this, headline is I'm gonna take this guy's words seriously, right? This bodyguard's words seriously. Maybe there is a big security issue with a lot of these soccer games that are going on, and maybe you're not gonna get that like in certain games, maybe possibly just because, like you said, maybe there's not gonna be some big headline players playing. But I think it might be one of those things where, hey, look, I know there's a lot of security going into games, but then when you're in the game, pitch invaders probably don't have much resistance whatsoever because, like you said, it's a jump, hop, and a skip to get onto the field with a lot of these stadiums, and you can get onto the field very, very easily, very quickly. And then once you're on there, like, how long does it take some form of a security guard to get somebody, right? I've seen
Hmm.
some of these clips of this guy where this guy sees somebody from across the field, homie's booking it, dude. Like, this guy's a hawk, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, he's a solid bodyguard, man. I can't believe they're doing that to him, but at the end of the day, I don't make those decisions. But hey, MLS, like, hey, security of the US, of stadiums, like, you're on watch now. Like, if something
Yeah.
happens and, in the future where more invaders come, or maybe, heaven forbid, an injury because of something like
Hmm.
this, like, that's on you guys. And it's not going to be pretty if it does happen. So, don't let it flip through. Don't let it happen.
Yeah, definitely.
So it'll be interesting though. Pretty fun little headline there for sure from the bodyguard. Should be fun to see kind of what happens here coming up soon. couple others before we get into the picks. I know we're starting to come up a little bit on time here, but something kind of interesting that we were looking into, not just for for us, but in general, Sunday night soccer. We talked a little bit about kind of going into some of our picks and stuff. Obviously, Sunday night soccer kind of being that thing that the MLS and Apple TV is kind of trying to sell. For those of you that don't know, the MLS has gone out and basically struck some international deals where they will be showing Sunday night soccer across the world, right? And it's with a lot of different countries. So obviously what they want to do is they want to get the game, or basically their flagship game, across the world. A lot of the countries involved, like Australia, Southeast Asia, Dubai, Middle East, Germany, Korea. So they're trying to kind of expand the whole MLS thing to different countries. The crazy thing here is obviously it's kind of not with Apple TV, right? It's kind of going like behind Apple TV's back, saying, hey, we're going to do a deal with somebody else, get this thing out there so that people can start watching the game. Because, and yes, this is something that I think is very interesting too, because not just for MLS, but these days everything is on some streaming platform. Like, hey, you want to watch this show? Well, you gotta buy Netflix, you gotta buy Hulu, you gotta buy Disney, you gotta buy ESPN Plus, you gotta buy HBO Max. Like, you gotta buy 30 different freaking subscriptions just to watch a movie, a show, a game, which is pretty insane, right? And obviously with Apple TV, like, you got to buy another subscription just to watch Apple TV products, and then you got to buy the season pass just to watch soccer. Like, come on, dude, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I think pre-show you kind of made a pretty good point on, why could this happen? Could it be subscriber related? What do you think in terms of like subscribers and stuff? Like, what do you think was in the heads of MLS trying to going into, hey, we need to expand this. We're just going to do it with some other, international entities to do that.
So my question, I'm kind of wondering if like maybe like Apple has sort of like just kind of the rights to be able to stream it here in the US. Like, you know what, like nobody else here in the US can stream it but us. But maybe they're like, yeah, but we can go international and stuff like that. Because I mean, it makes sense to me for the MLS to want to go out into more international markets and try and
Yeah.
get their soccer out and putting those big games out, which honestly I kind of been doing, not research, but I kind of try and like, I was looking out into the future of like certain games, like, oh, who's playing Saturday, who's playing Sunday, and most of the time when I clicked on Sunday night football or Sunday night soccer, Inter Miami was on there, which
No way.
which probably like makes sense because most international people that want to watch the game are probably wanting to tune into that. But it also helps that it's like the last game most of the time, so like maybe they'll
Yeah.
be interested and kind of watch some of the other games. And I also saw something where they were like kind of like trying to experiment with the US being the next World Cup host. They're kind of using the MLS kind of as a somewhat of a experiment of being like, hey, we're going to send your games out to international markets around times that some of the World Cups would be being played, and we can kind of test and see. It might not be accurate because it's the MLS versus the World Cup, but like, oh, like, we're gonna watch these games like 2022. The games were what, like, I think like during lunchtime for us, like 12,
Yeah.
like 1, 2, like that was like that was like, I feel like good. So I think that's kind of one of the things I saw for one of the reasons of why they're going out into international markets, as well as trying to expand their horizons more, trying to get
Yeah.
MLS soccer out there. And they're kind of, I would say, not unique, but their special style of soccer. I feel like, yeah, it's very different from European soccer and how they play it, but I also do kind of enjoy it, and maybe it'll help more people outside of the US enjoy it more and kind of bring more of a market and have some people who are like, oh, you know what, let me try and play for these teams over here, and maybe we can get more international players coming in.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know how many subscribers Apple Plus or Apple TV has? Or even just a guess?
I mean, you said it before. I think it was like 30 mil, no?
Yeah, it's about 30. So it's obviously different platforms probably have different numbers, but Wikipedia has them at 45 million subscribers right now, right? 114 countries, but they're not even close, I would say, in terms of like some of these bigger hotshot, streaming services. Clearly, you're gonna have your number one spot with Netflix. They have over 300 million subscribers, which is absolutely
Their
insane. They're
servers
number
suck
one.
though.
Yeah, and obviously we saw that with a couple of the little fights they were doing, right? In terms of some of the boxing matches they had, I think over the summer last year, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But who's to say, that the MLS, Apple TV continues? Maybe in the future it could be something where they put it on Netflix or maybe a Hulu or an ESPN, ESPN Plus, Disney, right? Because even Amazon, Amazon Prime has way more subscribers. Like it has 205 million subscribers and they're also worldwide, right?
Yeah.
As well as like YouTube TV, like YouTube Premium. Like that's also a US based company, 125 million subscribers. So it just sounds like they're trying to get, more people to watch.
Yeah.
Who's to say it's not with a different, provider, in the near future? But, I think they just they're trying to get their name out there a little bit more, make sure some of these other streaming services maybe say, oh crap, like, hey, we should probably put a bid in here when this contract's up and maybe have them come over here. Or if the MLS can, like, do it with everybody. Like, say, hey, look, we want to share this sport with everybody. Like, let's have multiple people lined up that they can show games or do kind of what the NFL is doing and say, hey, look, Prime has, like in the NFL, Prime has Thursdays. The rest of the week has these different
Mhm.
TV services that you can look into, and then Monday has this game. You know what I mean? So you can definitely do a lot of different things. The MLS can do a lot of different things to kind of sell these games. So I'm just kind of curious to see what'll happen in terms of like who's going to be their next flagship, service to kind of stream these games. Because yes, Apple's probably doing a pretty decent job, but it's not. It doesn't sound like they're reaching the audience, the amount of audience that the MLS wants. So kind of interesting to
Yeah.
look at for sure. We're
I
coming up here.
I
Last
was
little
gonna
thought
say
there.
my the other streaming service I could kind of see that I feel like the MLS would do decently well with would probably be like Amazon. You mentioned that they have like a lot of 200 and something million subscribers, which probably, it probably helps them the fact that they give out Prime Video free for anybody that just
Yeah.
subscribes to Prime.
Hey,
So
that's not a bad idea though.
yeah, but I mean, well, like you said, 205 people have Amazon Prime. What's not to
Mm-hmm.
say like, oh, let me just, I'm bored today. Let me go watch a soccer game. Kind of like what I was saying is you said there was 45 for Apple. What percent of that is um watching soccer? It's like even
Mm-hmm.
if it's like the same percentage of people that are watching the MLS from the Apple subscribers, and you just take that same percentage and take it to the Amazon, it probably like doubles or triples
Oh yeah.
the amount of people watching. So they probably
Yeah.
I don't know, they're because I think I heard that their Apple deal is ending soon, right? Like so they're
I did
probably gonna be
hear
looking.
Adidas. Adidas was coming up. The whole Adidas thing was coming up, but I'm not sure about Apple.
Okay, okay, yeah, yeah, it was Adidas. We were talking about it, so.
Yeah, but either way, I mean, if it does come up at some point, like you can do a lot of things with Amazon, and I like the idea that Amazon went with, the NFL and did the whole Thursday night games because I think they did a really good
Mhm.
job of that. And so if you do end up looking at Amazon for the MLS, like you have a lot of different things that you can do there because you can always just sell jerseys on Amazon or like, apparel and just other things that people like to do, like to buy. Dude, it could be a home run if you guys kind of
It's
take
kind
over and
of
allow them to do that.
it's kind of like that YouTube thing where they do where they're like you're watching a video and like let's say like you're watching a YouTuber and they're like, "Oh, buy our merch." And then
Mm-hmm.
it literally just pops up the link there like, "Look, you can buy it right
Yep.
here." And they're like the commentators like, "If you like what you're watching these jerseys, then look
Yep.
at the link
Scan this
down
QR
and buy
code.
them." Well, yeah, or like literally like if you're on the Amazon Prime app, you can literally just click here, buy it and
Yeah.
it'll be in your house in 2 days.
Yeah,
Crazy.
exactly. I mean, look, we're coming up with these things. We don't even get paid to make these decisions. Like, we got some great ideas. If any of y'all services ever want to, collab, just let us know.
If they do an Amazon collab and all this happens, I'm saving this and I'm sending some lawyer letters out.
Yeah, dude. Watch out, Prime. Watch out, MLS. You never know what'll happen. Dope, dude. I mean, lots of good stuff, obviously, that we kind of went over. There's a lot of things we can still go over, but in respect to everybody's time here, we'll kind of go into the RSL being sold maybe in a different episode, the whole Idaho, coming up with a brand new team potentially in the USL. We'll get them in the next, and obviously lots of coaches in the hot seat. So who knows what will happen this upcoming week? We already got 2 coaches down now. Could it be 3 after next week? Could it be 4? You never know. So we'll kind of keep those posted maybe for the next episode. But without further ado, I think it'll be nice to just kind of start getting some of these picks in. So I'm going to go ahead and share really quickly my screen, and we can go into some of these picks and keep this episode respectfully on time. We do also have our picks from our good friend Chino. I believe you wrote them down, Fern, so just let me know which one he picks. Let the fans know which ones he picks. Well, let's get you. We'll go ahead and have you get started on these ones. Obviously to start us off, we got Charlotte versus Nashville. The first game of the day, 12:30 p.m. Mountain Time. Who do you got for this one?
I don't know. Because, after
Same.
last week, and some of the games where, LAFC just got wrecked. Or I guess I wouldn't say wrecked. They lost by 1 goal, but they were getting kind of dominated for a little bit.
Yeah.
It kind of had me thinking, is there, any team aside from maybe, and even I wouldn't even necessarily put Inter Miami in that category, but where you just see a team and you're like, they're the number 1 team right now,
Right,
per
they're gonna
se. Because
win.
every time I'm like, this team's the best team in the MLS, and then they lose that week. I'm like, what the heck,
Yep.
So, was it Charlotte last week? I think we had them winning and they lost, or was it vice versa? I don't remember.
Yep, that is correct. I believe all of us chose Charlotte, and they lost 2-0 against Colorado.
Colorado Rapids, exactly. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? But I think it's so hard because I like Nashville, and then Charlotte has been playing well, but they both lost their last few games, and even if you look at their previous records, they've been doing pretty good. So this is hard, but I'm gonna go with Nashville.
Ooh, Nashville. Righty. Who did Lopez go with? Did he go with Nashville as well?
No, he went with Charlotte.
I thought you were gonna go with his pick.
No.
I'm gonna go with Charlotte primarily because they're at home. I do think it might have been a fluke that they lost against Colorado, but they do look good. Obviously, Nashville does too. Like you said, this is a tough one to call, man. This could be literally go any way. But I think Charlotte picks it back up. They like to be at home, I think. So, I'm just going to go with Charlotte on this one. Not because Chino did as well, but just because I feel like they'll win. All right, for the next one, we got a very spicy game coming up here, which I don't know. I might buy a ticket to go to this game. I believe. Are you going or no? To this one?
I'll be there.
Okay, sick. So our very own Fern will be at this game. Maybe we'll get some pics of you at the game. We'll kind of see, how willing you are to take some pictures there. But Real Salt Lake versus LA Galaxy. I mean, another interesting one to call, but I don't like the way LA Galaxy is playing. I think, this injury report is just absolutely insane. They did look okay, against Orlando until the very, very last minute. Real Salt Lake has obviously been, kind of in a bit of a rut the last 2 games. They have played some pretty decent teams, though, so I can't, you can't harp on them too much. It could be one of those where the cold just gets to LA Galaxy again, and maybe they just lose. It could be where, like Chino said, they could be in April, and all of a sudden they just turn it back on.
This is an April game.
It is an April game. See, and the thing is I want to go with Real Salt Lake, but I don't, and I want it to be right, but I don't want Chino to be correct here and have them pick it up in April. I'm gonna let you go first. You go first.
So, with me being at the game, and I think most of the RSL team watches our podcast, I don't want to be, made a fool of, so I'm going to have to go with RSL.
Okay, who did Chino go with?
He went with the Galaxy.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's tough. He's really going into it.
He broke up with his toxic relationship that I'm still in.
Okay, yeah. Dang. Okay. You know what? I think I'm going to go to Real Salt Lake. I think they're at home. It's going to be a good game. We don't like to lose to LA Galaxy or any LA team, to be honest with you, but I could be eating my words here at the end of next week, but we'll see. I'm going to go with Real Salt Lake though. Okay, on to the next one. Atlanta United versus FC Dallas. Another Mercedes-Benz game. Obviously, both teams getting the win this last week, but I do think, like I mentioned before, Atlanta's very good at home, so just give me Atlanta. What do you think?
So yeah, I think Atlanta's the better team. FC Dallas is on a winning streak, but I wouldn't take that too much in consideration with them beating RSL and then
Yeah.
Sporting Kansas City, who just fired their coach because of how bad they're playing. And
Mhm.
honestly, Atlanta United, they played Inter Miami. They played really well. They lost that game. They drew against FC Cincinnati due to a dumb own goal. And they just showed how good of a team they were last week. So I'm going to have to go with Atlanta.
Nice. Who does Chino have?
Atlanta. Did you say Atlanta as well?
Yep, I said Atlanta. Nice. So Atlanta's all around. Next up, we have, I don't really need to go into it. Columbus Crew versus CF Montreal. Montreal is just kind of having a rough season, to be honest. Columbus Crew, one of the only two teams left that are undefeated this season. So I'm going to go with Columbus on this one.
Who's the second team?
Your very own.
Yes, sir. Just kidding. Columbus is definitely one of the best teams in the league, so I'm going to have to go with them. But this is also like another one of those situations where I was talking about how you have this team, and I'm like, they have to beat them. This is one of the worst teams. Like they play Chicago
Yep.
Fire, who has been playing really well. They have one of the most informed strikers going into the game, and they tie 1-1. So
yeah,
crazy, but I'm going to have to go with Columbus as well.
there you go. If Montreal scares all of us, like, it is what it is. But you have to go with Columbus on this one. I feel. Did Chino also go with Columbus?
Yeah, he did.
Okay, got it. Next up, we have FC Cincinnati versus New England Revolution. The pick that got me caught back up to y'all because none of y'all had that faith in New England. But what do you think, man? What do you think for Cincinnati versus New England?
I'm gonna go Cincinnati just because they've been playing pretty well. Yeah, I'm looking at their current
There you
record
go.
or their last few games. I'm gonna go with Cincinnati, and yeah, exactly same trend. New York Red. I guess I wouldn't consider it the same trend because the New York Red Bulls isn't as good of a team, but it was also one of those teams where I was like, they have to win, and they didn't. So
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna have to echo that. Cincinnati for me as well. I believe they're home, but they did take down a pretty decent Nashville team. I do think New England got a little bit lucky against the Red Bulls. So, it is what it is. They do have a pretty big injury report as well. So give me Cincinnati for this one. Who does Chino have?
Cincinnati.
All right, there we go. Next up, we got the New York Red Bulls versus Chicago Fire. Two probably middle-ish of the pack teams as well. Obviously, one of them kind of, getting a tie, the other one getting that loss. What do you think going into this one?
I think for this one, I'm probably gonna have to go with Chicago just because I feel like they've been playing really well. They're fourth in the MLS, in like overall teams, not just like East and West, I believe. Oh no, wait, this is the East Coast. My bad, I'm dumb. But yeah, they've been playing really well, and like I said, just recently they have one of the most informed strikers right now. Let me make sure he's not on the injury report before I start talking too much. But yeah, no, I'm gonna have to go with Chicago on this one.
Yeah, pretty solid pick. Who did Chino have for this one?
He went with the New York Red Bulls.
Ooh, with the Red Bulls. Okay. Yeah, I was thinking about the Red Bulls. They are in Sports Illustrated Stadium. Sports Illustrated is in New Jersey.
New York, New Jersey, yeah.
New York. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a pretty interesting matchup. I do think Chicago has a really good team, though, so I'm going to go with Chicago for this one. But again, I think this can really go either way. New York is probably a little bit better than what they look like on paper and their current record, but just give me Chicago. Next up, we do have Philadelphia Union versus Orlando City. Very good teams, honestly. I do, obviously Philadelphia Union losing to Inter Miami in a very close game, but they have been a very strong team nonetheless. Orlando, also one of those teams that I think, like I mentioned, is a lot better than they look like on paper. They looked a little bit shaky against LA Galaxy, which was a little surprising. But I do think they're, a pretty good team, a better team than, a lot of other ones. So I'm going to probably just continue to go with Orlando until they kind of let me down. So give me Orlando City for this one. What do you think?
I think I'm gonna go with Philadelphia just because they have been one of the best teams this year. They do have the top scorer in the MLS, although Orlando have scored 13 goals in their last 5 matches, and Philadelphia has only scored 9 in their last 5. So it looks like Orlando's kind of picking up the pace a little bit right now, but I still like Philadelphia, so I'm going to go with them.
Okay. Who does Chino have?
He went with Orlando.
Okay. Alrighty, we'll see who gets those ones right. Interesting ones here too. Austin versus Portland, two teams that are a little bit hot at the moment. Obviously both of them coming off of two wins, and then Austin coming off of 3 straight wins. So very interesting to see for this one. They're going to be in Texas. Portland just looking absolutely lethal this last week with Anthony from Brazil. That guy was just absolutely everywhere on the field this last game. But Austin FC, I feel like they're kind of winning just barely. You know what I mean? Obviously being, winning by 1 every single game. They have been beating some really good teams though. So it is kind of difficult to go against them. But I do think Portland is kind of figuring things out with their team. They're really just trying to kind of fire. So I'm going to go with Portland on this one, even though they're away. So give me Portland. Who do you have?
So there's some nice insights here because Austin has only scored 4 goals in their last 5, and the Timbers have scored 8 in their last 5 matches. And it even says here that Austin and Portland have not drawn any of their last 4 matches against each other. So there's been a winner in the last 4 head-to-head matches, and in the last 4 head-to-head matches, it's Portland 1, Austin 1, Portland. So I'm gonna feel like they're gonna keep that trend going. So I'm gonna go with Portland.
There you go. Stats guy, I love it. Who did Chino have?
He had Austin.
He had Austin. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Okay, next up we have Houston Dynamo versus LAFC. Bit of a rocky for both of these guys. Obviously, LAFC having that one game, but Houston Dynamo just not looking good whatsoever. Obviously, losing pretty badly to Portland just this last week. But LAFC fighting. They did lose against San Diego, but even though they went down 3-0, they still came back, scored 2 goals, and then they kept that 3-2 score line, even with only 10 guys on the field, which is pretty insane. So I think LAFC is a much better team than Houston. So give me LAFC for this one, even though they're away. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely have the same feeling. Even though they didn't come back and get the draw or the win, I did like the fact that they didn't just give up once it was 3-0, especially with the motivation of that banger that you were talking about. The freaking I can't remember his name, but
I know
that definitely got some energy in them.
Yep, he's got a crazy name, bro. So it is what it is. I forget. It's like Holovs. What is it? What did I put down? It's Smolyakov, something like that.
Yeah,
but hell of a shot.
And then I think, is this saying that they haven't won a match? Yeah, let's see.
So they've won against Sporting Kansas City, but they've lost. They're basically the last 5 games are 1-4.
Yeah, it says they haven't.
So
they haven't won a match in 8 attempts, is what this is saying. So
yeah, it's been rough.
And then although look at the LAFC's team form, they're not playing the best right now either. It's 5-2-2-1, 1-0, 2-0, 3-2, and with. I'm going with the LAFC, but now I'm kind of second guessing myself with them playing on Wednesday and with their form being so bad. Maybe Houston. I'll just say I wouldn't be surprised if Houston wins this, but I'm going LAFC.
There you go. That's a good way to put it, for sure. Who did Chino have?
LAFC.
Okay, gotcha. We'll start with Chino on this one. Who does Chino have for Sporting in St. Louis?
Saint, oh, he has St. Louis, and
Oh, interesting.
with
Okay.
I
With what?
last like how can they win the game with no coach? Which they didn't win Montreal. They didn't win, but
Yeah.
they did tie, which honestly surprised me. So I
Yeah.
guess the coach was the problem.
Hmm.
So I'm kind of
Yeah.
tempted to
True.
say the same thing. Like, how can Sporting Kansas City win without a coach?
You're going with St. Louis? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of agree with that. Obviously, that the loss to FC Dallas sucked. They've obviously were out battled by LAFC. They lost. They tied against Minnesota, which is pretty interesting. A 3-3 draw. St. Louis, I think they're a pretty good team, but I think on paper they're a pretty good team, but some of the games are kind of like pretty surprised that they haven't won. I'm surprised they lost to Philly. I'm surprised that they lost to Austin, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, This is going to be in Kansas City, so this might be the one where they kind of turn around. Maybe the fact that they lost their coach, they're going to be like, hey, let's go out there and do it for us.
Hmm.
I'm going to go with Sporting Kansas City, and I could be wrong on this, but I'm just going to go opposite of you guys and go with Sporting. So give me KC.
Yeah. And then I was reading some of the stuff here, and Sporting Kansas City haven't won a match in 13 games, 13 attempts, and they haven't kept a clean sheet in 16 matches. Which is funny because St. Louis have kept the most clean sheets in the competition so far, which is 4 out of 6
Yeah.
games. So there's only 2 games where they haven't kept the clean sheets.
So, but their goalie is out still, right? So Roman
Yeah, and
Berkey
then
is, I believe, their top guy.
and if you look the two games where they didn't keep a clean sheet were the 2 games that he missed.
Yeah, and he broke his hand, so he's
Yeah,
late April back. So you never know what'll happen in these games, obviously. But
yeah.
I'm gonna go with KC either way. Give me them.
Hmm.
Next up, we got Vancouver versus Colorado. The later games starting off here. Vancouver, kind of one of those teams we said, hey, they're doing pretty dang good. They're playing really, really well. Colorado, though, coming out of nowhere and beating Charlotte 2-0 in Colorado, which was insane. I don't think anybody really kind of saw that one coming, maybe unless you're an absolute big Colorado fan. But for this one, I think, they're in Canada, Vancouver. They're going to want to start kind of ramping up with the CONCACAF Champions Cup, maybe. So give me Vancouver over Colorado for this one. What do you think?
I'll give you a chance to change if you want to after this. I'm gonna go with Colorado. I feel like Vancouver has started pretty well. Colorado seems to be picking it up a little bit. I mean, they won 2 games. They lost against Portland Timbers, which, like they're a good team, so I'm not super surprised. But they have scored 8 goals in their last 5 matches. Colorado. They're ranked third away from home this season, so they're the third best team playing away from home, which they are this time. And Zach Steffen is ranked first in saves per match in the MLS, which is
Okay.
4.8 saves per match. So I'm gonna go with
Yeah,
Colorado.
there you go. It's not bad. I'm not going to change. We'll see what happens, but those are some pretty dang good stats. Who did Chino have for this one?
He had Colorado.
Colorado as well. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
That's where I need to start pulling ahead, hopefully, or maybe I'm just going way, way down the drain. We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay, next up for the last Saturday set, we're gonna have San Diego versus Seattle. At 8:30 Mountain Time in Snapdragon Stadium. Gonna be exciting. I feel like every night game that San Diego has against like a big club, like any sort of big club, is gonna be pretty electric. Chucky Lozano obviously coming back, so him and the Dryer being up top as well. They're looking pretty dang good. Morris out for Seattle Sounders, so going to be interesting for them to kind of come back. They still have a lot of good players, obviously, on that squad, so probably not the biggest deal, just given the talent that they have on there. But I'm going to go with San Diego with another home win for this one. So give me San Diego, but what do you think?
Yeah, definitely. And Jordan Morrison being out has definitely affected the Sounders. Although Rusnak has been picking up the pace, they just haven't been able to win the games that they need to. They can manage a draw and stuff, but draws won't win you a game. And with San Diego doing what they did to the LAFC, I'm also gonna go with San Diego. Especially with them being third in the Western Conference. That's
Yeah,
crazy to me. I guess it keeps that trend going of, newly integrated teams just having super good seasons and whatnot. But yeah, I'm
yeah.
gonna have to go with San Diego.
Okay.
These teams are very inconsistent, so I feel like it's very hard to
It
give
always is, man.
so we'll see. There's no
Who does
such thing
Chino
as an
have
expert in this. He has San Diego.
as well? Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay, and then obviously going into Sunday, we got 3 games for Sunday, which is a lovely little surprise. Always love having more games on a Sunday. But to start us off there, we're going to have New York City versus Minnesota United. Very interesting games here, man. I mean, New York obviously always being kind of one of those top teams, but Minnesota just having some pretty dang good, records going into this game, and they haven't really lost in 5 games. So kind of a tough one to call. Who do you think takes this one?
What did you say?
I didn't say anybody. I asked you first.
What the heck? Oh my gosh. I'm like over here writing stuff down because I was writing Minnesota down for myself. I just feel like they've been playing pretty consistently up to the last 5 games. They haven't lost. They drew against the LA Galaxy, which you can kind of say it
Pretty
was
crazy.
a bit of luck with that last minute goal from the LA Galaxy. I feel like they were kind of unlucky to lose that. They did tie against one of the worst teams in the league, but I think that just got to, I don't know. They've been playing good because they were up 3-0 against Sporting Kansas City. The
They were
heck? It's
down.
not Sport. Yeah, it was Sporting Kansas City. No, they were up 3-0 on Sporting Kansas City, and then
Oh,
they
they
kind of
were.
choked. Yeah, and they choked
Oh,
the
dang.
lead. They kind of had that revival out of nowhere, and then
Dang.
they got unlucky with the LA Galaxy. So I feel like they should have won their last 5 games, so I'm gonna go with them.
Okay. I'm going to go with New York. I think, they've played Atlanta, which is a great team. They played Columbus, which is probably, aside from Miami, one of the better teams. Obviously, you're going to win against New England. Orlando, a very good team that you also, beat. LAFC
Hmm.
back when they were, just killing everybody at the beginning of the season. They lost only 1-0. So I think New York is a very good team.
Hmm.
Still, even though they've lost a couple matches where Minnesota hasn't. So give me New York City. I think they're a solid squad, and plus they're going to be at New York City. So
I
give me New
hate their
York.
stadium.
Yeah, it's
It's
not a
just a
starter
Yankee
stadium. It is
stadium.
what it
Yeah.
exactly. It's
It just
so
throws me
dumb.
off every time I watch the games. I'm like, whoa,
I
like
know.
it's so weird. Like
So
one
weird,
corner's like
dude.
super close to the fans and then everything else is
Yeah.
like
I
so
would hate that, dude. Super
yeah.
annoying. But yeah, I totally agree with you. Who does Chino have for this one?
He has Minnesota.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, and then for the next game on Sunday, we'd have San Jose versus DC United. I'm going to let you pick first on this one.
This one's tough, San Jose started off really good at the beginning of the season. And they've kind of been falling off. DC United also isn't playing very well. Um I I could see this game as a tie, honestly, but I'm gonna have to go with San Jose on this one just because they started off so well that I feel like they gotta kind of pick up that form a little bit. If they don't win this game this week, I'm just gonna assume they're gonna lose the rest of the games for the rest of the season. So
There you go. It was crazy, man. Look, there's 5 wins for San Jose, 5 wins for DC United, and 4 draws in all these match or head-to-head matchups. Pretty insane to
yeah.
look at. I don't know if you know this, but I think San Jose and DC United are like 2 of like the earliest teams to ever join the MLS, and I believe like one
Mm,
of the first ever games, like I think the first game
the
that the
first
MLS
game.
ever played, it was against San Jose and DC United. So this is like a classic like Packers versus Bears type situation. So it's kind of cool to see, that they kind of had this game on a Sunday at 3 o'clock. Should be a pretty exciting game, honestly. I'm hoping, because I continue to root for them, I'm hoping that San Jose just picks it up. They start finding their ground. I know Hernan Lopez is obviously going to be, he's a little bit injured. I'm hoping he kind of like has a Chucky Lozano moment where he comes into the game and, maybe he's not as injured as they thought and he plays in
Hmm.
this one. But I still think San Jose has a lot of firepower. and they just need to kind of figure it out. They've kind of lost it a little bit over those last few games, but I think they can pull one out against DC United. So give me San Jose as well in PayPal Park. So I'll go with San Jose. Who does Chino have for this one?
He has DC United.
Oof, okay, we will see. We will see what happens. And then to cap us off, man, Sunday night soccer. Wah, 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 wah. Inter Miami versus Toronto FC. No question for me here. Pretty easy to call this one. Last undefeated. One of the only 2 undefeated teams left in the MLS. Inter Miami. Give me Messi and the boys to take out Toronto FC in Miami, Florida. Who do you think?
Give me Toronto.
You're such a
No,
liar.
I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. Give me Miami. If Miami somehow don't win this game, they cannot draw. They cannot lose. They have to win. If somehow they lose this game, I don't know. I'll go crazy. I'll take a video of me. I'll take a video of me breaking my TV or something.
There you go. It'd be pretty crazy to watch. I mean, obviously, I know they play.
Yeah.
They play Wednesday, I think, so they'll have plenty of time to rest. For this game. So I don't think.
Well, even then, like your B team, they're still beating Toronto. I don't care. Toronto sucks. I'm disappointed in myself for picking them as a underdog to win the league. They weren't even close.
They're being a little rough.
Look at this. Sure. They're like the complete opposite of Inter Miami.
Yep.
They're 4 losses, 2 draws. Miami's 4 wins, 1 draw in the league. So I can't see them losing.
I mean, yeah, exactly. Gonna have to have a lot of people watching this game, but I mean, if Inter Miami put on a clinic and score like 5 goals, wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Alrighty then. Sorry, who did Chino have for that one?
Yeah, Toronto.
No way.
No, I'm just kidding. He also had Miami.
I was like, dude, no way he did. That's funny. Well, I guess so. Just me and Miami, and then Toronto for you guys because you guys picked them to be the underdog, right?
No.
Miami's all around for Sunday night soccer.
I never bet against Messi.
There you go. I know I did like maybe twice, and I will not do it anymore. So, but there we have it. Solid picks for week 7 going into week 7.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of crazy stuff obviously happened. A lot of crazy stuff. A lot of crazy headlines. A lot of great things to discuss on this episode. So pretty solid conversations. We'll see what happens this weekend, man. We'll post the episode, get some of the clips out. But for all of you watching, thank you so much for tuning in today. That is it. What we have. Fern, any last words to the fans, to the people?
We're thinking of doing kind of a live stream watch along type thing. If you guys are interested in seeing something like that, just let us know by commenting down below, subscribing, and yeah, we're just gonna find a weekend that works with us that gives us the best games to be able to watch and hang out with some friends and watch. So look out for that.
Give our reactions too. So yeah, if that is something y'all are interested in, we're probably gonna do it anyways. So just let us know. We'll get some of those live streams going for sure. You guys can really see what we're like.
Yeah, we'll do it at Reyes' house, and I'll break his teeth.
Hey, as long as you buy me a new one. But that is it for us, ladies, gentlemen, everybody else, people, homies. That is us. We are out. Cracked Soccer Podcast, Week 7, out. Peace. See y'all.